The Big Ten Conference ought to be ashamed of themselves. And Kevin Warren, their commissioner, should resign for a total lack of leadership throughout this entire process. I'm sorry. It's been brutal. The Big Ten a couple of weeks ago announced that they were canceling their fall football season. It wasn't happening. 4 days before they made that decision, they released the Big Ten schedule. So we all thought everything was going according to plan. Then August 11th came along and they said, nope, that's it, we're done. We're postponing our fall season, citing medical concerns relating to, what else? The coronavirus pandemic. Okay, fine. But then a lot of the players started talking. A lot of the coaches started talking. The players' parents started talking. They all said, we want to play. We'll deal with any inherent risk that lies with the coronavirus. We trust our team's testing protocols that are put in place. We trust that we have the best medical experts advising us to play. Then these parents looked around and saw the SEC still playing. The ACC is still playing. The Big 12 is still playing. Well, why can't we play? They're using testing protocols. They have medical experts advising them. Why are they able to play and we can't? Well, the answer is this. Because the Big Ten got scared. And the Big Ten cowered. And the Big Ten now is having some second thoughts on canceling its season. There was a report that came out yesterday that the Big Ten is in talks about possibly playing a season that starts around Thanksgiving. You know what the Big Ten is, besides incompetent? The Big Ten is half pregnant. Either you're playing or you're not playing. But here's the thing. You can't be half pregnant. It's physically impossible. Either you are pregnant or you're not. Now, I'm a male, so I can't get pregnant. But I know people who can get pregnant, and I know how it works. You either are pregnant or you aren't pregnant. And the Big Ten, you know what they are? They're trying to act like they're half pregnant. Oh, we're going to cancel our season. Actually, no, we're going to come back and play around Thanksgiving. That's what we're going to do. The Big Ten's acting half pregnant. Either play in the fall or don't play at all. What's with this Thanksgiving nonsense? It's a joke. All these other Power 5 schools are continuing to move forward. They trust the protocols. They know that the coronavirus does not put them at great risk of any significant injury that stems from it. You could look at the data and recognize this, that the seasonal flu has a higher death rate among the age group of college athletes we're talking about than the coronavirus. Nobody's trying to downplay the seriousness of the virus and how contagious it is and the 180,000 Americans that have sadly passed away from it. But life goes on. We have to learn to live with this thing. And if the NFL could play and all these other sports can play and other college conferences can play, so can the Big Ten. You know what's coming up later tonight? An FCS game between Austin Peay and Central Arkansas. If the FBS could play, the Big Ten can also play. If high school football can play, the Big Ten can also play. And here's the thing. Let's say they never canceled the season. They tried to play. And they just had a bunch of outbreaks and just got out of control and they couldn't play and they shut it down. Do you think the outcry is anywhere close to what it's been had that happen? Of course not. You at least try, though. You owe it to the players to try who want to play, whose livelihoods depend on playing, who, oh, by the way, and this point has been made many times, and I full-heartedly agree with it, these players are safer on campus than they are off of it. They are. That's a fact. They're getting tested regularly, 2 to 3 times a week. They're being tested before game days. There's been advancements in testing, meaning the saliva direct test that's coming out for mass production by October, these guys could all get tested as they're eating breakfast and find out whether or not they could play later that day if they pass a test. For the Big Ten to cancel their season on August 11th, they have all this coming to them because they weren't transparent with the reasoning why. Some of the medical stuff they pointed out has been disproven by other cardiologists. The idea that the Big Ten knew in August that they couldn't figure out a way to do a season that would start in October is lunacy. Lunacy. Give credit to the SEC. Give credit to the ACC, the Big 12. They have never wavered. They trust the protocols that are in place to play college football. And here's the craziest thing about all this. 13 of the 14 campuses in the Big Ten Conference are open. Rec sports is being allowed to play on college campuses. Rec sports. Your frat superstars are allowed to play in their flag football league, but Michigan and Ohio State can't. Think about how absurd that statement is. High school football is allowed to be played in many of these states where college football is not. Many of these conferences. Hell, let's look at Pennsylvania. Penn State can't play, but Pittsburgh can because they're in the ACC. In Iowa, Iowa State could play because they're in the Big 12, but Iowa can't because they're in the Big 10. It's lunacy. Lunacy. The Big 10 is acting like they're half pregnant. Either play or don't play. But don't give me this Thanksgiving BS. If you're going to play around Thanksgiving, you know what you should do, Big 10? You should start in October and let's play. October 1, let's go. Or last week of September like the other conferences, let's go. And if you have to delay the season because of an outbreak or two, build that in your schedule a couple weeks. I mean, give me a break. Kevin Warren, the commissioner of the Big Ten, just makes up his answer as we move along here. First, we heard there was a vote. Then some athletic directors came out and said, we didn't hear about a vote. We want to play. No, I mean, Nebraska's players are suing the conference. And then all of a sudden you hear about some rumblings about the Big Ten playing around Thanksgiving. Coincidence? No. The lack of transparency through all this has been appalling. And say whatever you want about the President of the United States, but when he tweets out on Friday that he doesn't want any delay to the college football season, I agree with him. Let's at least try to play. All right, if you can't get the season underway, you can't complete it, fine. We'll deal with that problem when it happens, but let's try and play football. My God, the Big Ten is an absolute disgrace. The Big Ten, stop being half pregnant and play football.